guided reading and literacy rotations. This is the best way that I know of to be sure that the instructional needs of every child is met during their reading time. And the whole room is basically humming with meaningful literacy activity. In the next few moments, you're going to see a combination 5th and 6th grade classroom. But the strategies that you'll see can basically be used in any room with just a little adaptation. What I'd like for you to key in on is how we are meeting the needs of a very diverse group of students here. You're going to see middle achievers, high achievers, low achievers, and you're going to notice that every child is being validated and challenged. And that's what you want. And this is a regular school day. This is not something scripted with a big camera crew. This is a regular teacher on a regular school day with regular students. Let's take a look and see what's happening in Tammy's classroom now. In order to effectively teach a guided reading group at your table, you need to be sure that all the other students are engaged in meaningful literacy activities. And you can do this by setting up stations around your classroom. Now, this first station is a very easy station to set up. This is your library corner, and these students are able to choose a book that they can easily read, a book that they enjoy. So they need to have been taught how to choose a book on their independent level, and there needs to be some choice here. This is not something that the teacher says they have to read, but this is something that they're choosing. Your next station is also very easy to set up. If you're fortunate to have computers, you can use those. You can also have a listening center or something with tapes with younger children. The important thing here is that the teacher plans what they're doing on the computer. It's not random. It's not student choice here where they can just go to any website. They also need headphones, very important. Next, your word work area. Here you want to have students playing games to reinforce grammar skills, phonics skills, word work, word pieces. And you can see here that the teacher has had the students make a very simple board game. This is not a labor-intensive thing. The students make a game that can be used for various skill reinforcement. You can see here they're doing the ABLE ending. And so you can put different words and cards to go with it. Also during your word work time, you want to have some colored bins. Students in one group are all using the same colored bin. And here they have a contract, and they also have some other activities that they're doing in here. As they do various activities during their word work, they're checking off a contract, they're signing their initials. The orange bin, anyone can do. The other 4 colored bins coordinate to the color of their group. So while all of the students are meaningfully engaged, you're able to do some intensive work with a small group at your table. Now you'll notice that I filmed the same students that you just saw. I wanted to come back around and get them at their table because this is the low achievers in grades 5 and 6, and they're doing a tremendous job. Notice that they have their folders, they have their contracts here that they're keeping track of, and the teacher has a very specific lesson plan. There are 2 parts to the guided reading lesson plan. The first part is a mini lesson where the teacher chooses something like phrasing or fluency and very solidly teaches that to the small group. The second part is when the teacher listens to each child read, and in this case we use what's called the read-along guide, and I'll show you where to get that. It comes from a book called Quality Comprehension, and that is available through my website, The Teacher Track. So 2 parts to the mini lesson, very intentional lesson that you're teaching them, and the second part is actually listening to each student read independently, not round robin. So key in and watch how this is done because that's where all of your strategy work is done. Very important to have a time when you do strategy work with individual students so you can move them forward from their baseline. So let's take a look and watch how this all happens as Tammy O does her mini lesson and then works with each student individually.
Practice on reading smoothly and reading clearly. It looks like you guys are all working hard to fill out your contracts, but what I'd like you to do now is go ahead and put your center contracts away. Just slide them over so they're ready to write. And I'm going to give you a minute just to look at the pictures of this. and begin reading over the poem that we're going to be reading today for fluency work is called Mary Had Some Bubble Gum. Mary had some bubble gum. If you come to a word that you don't know while you're reading over the poem, put your thumb up and I'll help you. What you to do for now is go ahead and turn the page back like this so that you can focus on just the one poem. And what I'm going to do is read the poem out loud by myself, and you're going to read the poem silently with me. Okay, we're going to do that a couple of times. Then you're going to be reading with me, and then I'm going to have you reading alone. Okay? Because the best way to become a more fluent reader is to repeatedly read the same text. Okay? So, I want to see your eyes moving along. Focus on the words for me, please. Remember, James, I like to be able to see your eyes. Thank you. Okay, and Kira, are you ready, dear? Thank you. Okay, the title is Mary Had Some Bubble Gum. Mary had some bubble gum. She chewed it long and slow, and everywhere that Mary went, her gum was sure to go. She chewed the gum in school one day, which was against the rule. The teacher took her pack away and chewed it after school. Okay, one more time. Keep following along. The title is Mary Had Some Bubble Gum. Mary had some bubble, chewed it after school. Okay? Now, while I was reading that to you, where did you notice that I would slow down at?
With the commas.
With the commas and periods. Which was the longest pause?
The period.
The periods was the longest pause. And remember, your punctuation is like little signs on the road. And they tell you when you need to breathe and when you can add emphasis and things like that. Okay? So this time, I want you to softly read for me. Read it along with me. Okay? Try to pause when I pause. Okay, you ready, Michael? James, you ready? Okay. We'll do the title first. Mary had some bubble gum. Okay, now let's begin. Mary had some bubble gum. She chewed it at school. Okay, good reading. You've got it memorized just about, okay? One more time with me, and then I'm going to listen to each of you, but I'm going to have you do it with a little twist. So be prepared for the twist, okay? So one more time with me. So try to think about this time the words that I give a little more emphasis to. Can you tell me one word that I give emphasis to when I read it? Slow. What is another word? Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Away. Or yeah.
A word I'm thinking of is everywhere. Everywhere. Okay, let's begin. And chewed it after school. Okay, and why do I want you to keep your eyes on the words?
So we can memorize it. Or at least we can read it and say it.
Yes, it gets those words burned in your brain so that when you're writing and spelling those words will be there for you. Okay, now you guys are going to take turns reading this, but you're going to do it from another perspective, okay? First, I want you to read it, Kira. You are going to read it as Mary. Think of how Mary would say these words. Okay, Mary's the one who had the gum and it got taken and the teacher chewed it. How do you think Mary feels? James? Okay.
Mary had some bubble gum. She chewed it long and slow, and everywhere that Mary went, her gum was sure to go. She chewed it, and she chewed the gum one day in school. No, she chewed the gum in school one day, which was against the rules. The teacher took her pack away and chewed it after.
Try the last two lines. You're the teacher. How do you feel?
The teacher took her gum away and chewed it after school.
Better. I like that. Good.
As you could see, that lesson was really needed. Did you notice that last student, how he struggled, and in the end, how he finally mastered that passage? It was fun watching him put it all together and the sense of accomplishment he must have felt with the teacher validation. We're going to take a little turn now and watch as Tammy works with individual learners, teaching them strategic instruction. Remember, when students are working on their instructional level, it's part of the plan for them to make errors 6 to 10% of the time. That's what we want because that's where your strategy instruction happens. Now, these students have previously read independently using their read-along guides, and they have applied their sticky notes to the passage, and Tammy is going to see what can she validate these students on and where do they still need help. As you watch, you're going to notice that this is not round-robin reading or the teacher listening and making a few general comments. She's not giving advice, she's teaching. Let's watch Tammy now.
Okay, can you open up your read-along guides to your back page? Okay, take out your book that you've been reading. And James, I think I have your book, don't I, dear?
I have mine.
All right, I took it away. And open your book up to the parts, to the strategies that you were working on yesterday. And I want you to begin rereading. I'm going to listen to each of you read and talk to you about your strategies until you read, okay? And when we get to a place where you've marked a strategy, you can tell me about the strategy you use. Okay, can you go back? Remember I said I want you to reread where you started yesterday. Okay?
Introduction. 150 years ago, it could take 6 months to travel overland from New York City to San Francisco. That meant if you left New York in April, the beginning of spring, you would not arrive in California until October during the chilly days of fall. Over the long months of traveling, you would have to carry all of your food or hunt and gather it from the wild. There were few maps, so it was easy to get lost. You would have to cross freezing, wind-swept prairies, roasting deserts, and treacherous mountains, all on foot or horseback, or in a cracky wagon that would often break down.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you to stop right there, Michael. Good reading. Can you tell me about what you just read? What is that talking about?
How it is to travel to California.
Okay, present day?
No.
Okay, no.
150 years ago.
150 years ago. Did you read anything in that last sentence that didn't make sense to you, that maybe sounded a little bit strange?
Can I check your sticky note for something?
That last sentence. Maybe something you've not heard of before. Okay. The windswept prairies. And when you read it, you said windswept prairies. What can you tell me about the way that word is written that might give you a clue that it's an short E, an eh sound, windswept instead of windswept? What clues can you get from looking at the word?
Because when sweep wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, so you can tell from the context it might not fit in there, but by looking at the letters in the word, how could you have maybe decoded that word and known that it should say swept, the short E sound? What would you need to make it say sweeped?
An A.
Okay, another vowel of some kind, right? To help the E say its name. You don't always have that, but most words where there's a long vowel, it has two vowels to make a long vowel, right? Okay, now there's one other spot. You read some big words here, Michael. That was very good. The word treacherous, that's a hard word. There's one word in the last two lines. Read the last two lines. On foot. Start reading
On
here.
foot or horseback, or in a creaky wagon that would often break down.
Okay, you read one word differently this time than last time. Do you know which word it is?
Horseback.
No. The first time you read it, you said cracky. And I thought maybe that didn't make as much sense, but you knew what the word was, so you were thinking it even though you weren't saying it. Okay, good reading. I see you have a 5 right here. What is that for?
Connection.
You had a connection? What was your connection?
Because I play with my trains at home.
Uh-huh. And so you connected with the picture here? Is
Yeah.
that why you have it right on the picture? Okay, it looks like one maybe that you've seen at home.
Yeah, because I have those kind of trains.
Mhm.
The old
old timey.
steam trains.
Okay, very interesting.
Okay, we're going to go over to the corner of the room now where the high achievers are working. And you'll see that they're using the same read-along guide, but they work a little more independently. And of course, that's your goal for all of the students, to get to the point where they will work independently. These students have read the passage before this meeting that you'll see, and they've applied sticky notes. And what they do is 3 times a week they meet as a group. 2 times they meet with the teacher, but 3 times they meet as a group, and they go through page by page and talk about the strategies. They select a leader, different leader each time, and they talk about what they found with the reading. And it's a lot of fun to watch them work through a lot of these different things that they're learning. So let's go take a peek at these young ladies now.
Well, we are the purple group, and we're reading The Bronze Bow. And basically what we do in our reading groups is we have this read-along guide with different reading strategies that our teacher says good readers have. Then, while we're reading the book, if we see one of these strategies, like a visualization, then we take the number of the sticky note and we put it on the sentence of what we visualized or had a word we didn't understand, things like that.
So how many strategies do you have there?
We have 8 strategies, and each of them is different.
Okay, maybe since there's 4 of you, if you want to tell me 2 of the strategies, then maybe the other people can tell me 2.
All right. Ashley, you want to start? Go ahead and do 1 and 2.
The first one is where you don't understand something. And the second one is a word where you need to know a word and you go and look it up someplace.
Oh, okay. What's the difference? The first one is huh?
The huh
Like
is
huh?
like when you're reading and your mind is somewhere else, or you don't get what they said.
You don't like the passage, or you can go back to other parts of the text and quickly scan or read on for no more than 2 sentences.
Oh, okay. Okay. Uh-huh.
My favorite ones are probably 5 and 6
Okay.
because I love to visualize things.
Oh, okay. So if you can visualize something, you
That's
put that.
strategy 6.
Oh, that's strategy 6, and what about 5?
5 is just so much fun because you get to think about what your life was like and what's happening in the book at the same time.
It's
Oh.
connections, text to text, text to self, and text to world.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
33. Did anybody have a sticky note? Okay, Ashley.
I had a number 2, a word on scythe, and I found out that it's one of those long poles with the blade on the end, like the Grim Reaper has. And then I had a number 6 on, I had a visualization of him with the scythe to be mended, if that's a visualization of number 6 is.
Yes. How about you, JoJo?
I kind of just placed a new one. And I was like, before I read it, I was like, because I was something out from space. So I placed a 1, I was like, what the heck? Okay, yeah. I'm done.
Then I have a visualization of when it describes Nathan, because I could really visualize it. And I think that's a great place to put this tomato.
It's right there. It says.
He had a bony, leather-tough face under a shock of straight black hair, a diffident, touchy alternateness, and a blackened eye that roused Daniel's curiosity.
Alright, anybody on 134? Joel?
Then I had a 2 on contemptible. What does that mean?
Oh.
I think it means like honest, what seems like honest person. Something like
It
that.
says, no wonder the boy looked defiant. It was a contemptible business for a Jew to hire himself out to collect the taxes. The Romans did not stoop to collecting for themselves. The way it's used, I think I'm going to use context clues. It probably wasn't very good. It wasn't very popular. It wasn't well liked, probably. Because I've seen somebody read somewhere where it said a look of contempt on his face.
I hope you've enjoyed watching this classroom in action. If you'd like to use the read-along guide, just go to my website, theteachertrack.com, and then click on Dr. Sandy's Top Picks. You'll find all the books from my bookcase there that I get on literacy that I just love, with my comments about these books. And you'll find the Quality Comprehension Guide, Just order that, and then if you email me, Dr. Sandy at theteachertrack.com, I'll send you Tammy's simplified version of that read-along guide with the page for the student sticky notes. So happy reading, and stay tuned for more videos in our Balanced Literacy series.